Disclaimer, I do not dislike CinemaSins, and that is not a lie. For my next Everything Wrong with CinemaSins video, I'm going to be seeing the video on Sonic the Hedgehog 3, and I would like to give thanks and dedication to Alazar Byro and Mooseman302 for requesting this video. Enjoy, everyone.
All the ring-shaped foods appropriate for this comparison appear to be derivatives of Cheerios and SpaghettiOs, so I guess this time it's Paramount's fried calamari.
But there are also other foods shaped like rings out there, such as Fruit Loops, donuts, and bagels, or you could just call these the Sonic rings instead.
I would have thought 4 years was enough time to build enough clout to warrant this long-ass Marvel-style logo, and that DC was just exceptionally bad at it. But not you too, Sega.
But the Sonic films have been doing well critically and financially, so aside from more Sonic movies, they could make movies out of their other properties such as Knights and Monkey Ball. And there was recently a Colorful Stage movie, so I think they're allowed to do this.
In case you confused it with The Lonely Islands, Japan.
But The Lonely Islands of Japan is a song, not a place, and this gag only works if the place you confuse it with isn't a real place.
That popsicle hasn't moved in 50 years.
And yet he will conveniently start moving again immediately after this statement because convenience.
And that's because conveniences are essential to a movie's story and are therefore not a CinemaSin, like I've said in past videos I've made.
For a movie based on a video game to be this wildly successful both in box office and critical acclaim? No, it's not. And I can't figure out why we're making this film the exception.
Firstly, you admitting this movie did well critically and financially contradicts what you said earlier in your sin about the Sega logo. Secondly, what you said also means that we'll need to think about why you're making this film the exception.
Is Glass really the best choice for this tank? You know, on the off chance he did wake up.
The gun agents imprisoned Shadow and Glass so that they'd be able to see and analyze him. Additionally, they thought he'd never escape since they thought he would be frozen forever.
Do the alien hedgehogs just wake up ready to zoom all over the place and kick ass? I usually have to sit in bed for a good 30 minutes before I can even move, and that's after only a few hours sleep. Shadow's been asleep for a lot longer than that.
Well, Shadow attacking the agents is his choice, and when Sonic arrived on Earth, he didn't do that and instead went into hiding at first.
Too much pupil, or maybe too much sclera. You know what? It's just too much eye, and I let it slide for the past 2 movies. The line must be drawn here.
But personally, I don't see anything wrong with that, so...
Don't worry, little sibling rivalry is healthy. Me and my brothers used to do this kind of thing all the time.
Tom, your brothers are lunatics, and neither of them were born with the power to trigger a global cataclysmic event.
We're going to find out in a moment that this was all a ruse to distract Sonic while they set up his surprise party. Yet this banter is going hard in a way that it feels more like the goal was to distract me while they set up the surprise party.
It's likely both, Jer, since it's meant to be a surprise party.
It's a bird! It's a plane!
It's cheating!
No.
Happy B. Arthur Day?
Jeff Ross wouldn't laugh at that joke with B. Arthur's.
That's the thing about life, Sonic. It's all about the choices we make. As long as you remember to listen to your heart, you're gonna make the right choice when it matters the most.
You could have paired this misquoting of Roxette with a relevant situation where Sonic actually had to make a choice, instead of forcing it into a contrived heart-to-heart with only a thin contextual basis, so I know without a doubt that this line will come back to haunt me later in the movie.
Is that really a scary line? I believe this is supposed to be a theme or one of the lessons this movie is trying to teach.
Titanium handcuffs. Completely indestructible.
If you can manufacture a thing, it has constituent parts and can't be completely indestructible, talking fox with 2 tails that I expected to have a stronger grasp of physics.
You know you could just call him Tails instead of just describing who he is, right?
We're out of here.
I need to know when and why they choreographed this no-look jump that serves zero purpose outside of looking like a cool discount space jump from Abrams' Star Trek.
Well, it's actually intended to be a reference to the opening scene from Sonic Adventure 2, one of the 2 games this film is based on, which looks like this.
Talk about low-budget flights, no food or movies. I'm out of here. I like running better.
That this motorcycle fits him, or that you can logic this into a sin about stereotyping Asian people?
But the motorcycle does fit him, and that and the gun are intended to be referencing his spin-off game, Shadow 5.
The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you.
Shadow speaks for everyone at CinemaSins.
Insinuating that this great movie isn't good. That's worth a few extra.
Trying to get brownie points because you think I Akira about this Akira slide.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
This is a chow garden.
Restaurants that specialize in Easter eggs.
Yeah. So?
It begins over 50 years ago.
Another one, geez. Please don't tell me that half of this movie is going to play out in flashback.
But like in the games, Shadow was frozen for 50 years, and in order to be faithful to the games, that has to be the case here.
So I had him placed into stasis, indefinitely.
As some kind of parody of Austin Powers parodying Demolition Man, because first and foremost, I'm a movie buff.
You began this sin with a double quotation mark, but ended it with a single quotation mark here.
Also, if Walters encountered Shadow 50 plus years ago, he shouldn't have been so flabbergasted by Sonic showing up in the first movie.
Agreed, but the I in if is capitalized here.
Konichi, what?
Back at ya.
Also, if gun makes a gun, do they call it a gun? These are the questions I need this movie to answer.
But like I've said in other videos, that isn't something the movie needs to take time out to explain. So...
Hold it right there, Tokyo Drift.
Scene does not contain a Lucas Black or a Shad Bow Wow Moss.
Jeremy says something random cliche.
Please, join me in the crab.
If you change the in to an and add an S to crab, you would have the phrasing my college girlfriend used right before our first sexual encounter.
While I will be giving Jeremy 100 cents for this inappropriate comment, I do want to say one other thing, and that is that this joke went on for some time, and I'll ask, who needed or wanted to hear it at all?
Tell me. Nobody. Tell me again. Nobody.
And for the dramatic soap opera twist.
Where you will turn into a jaguar like Marlena? Or maybe you'll reveal you're the Salem stalker? Or maybe you've got Casey the freaking alien tied up in the back of the crab? Oh, you're just gonna shave off your hair, aren't you?
You put sigh at the end of your sin there, but you didn't actually sigh.
She's the professor's granddaughter. He takes her everywhere.
Not responding with, what about that means that I shouldn't do my f***ing job?
But if Gerald is allowed to take Maria everywhere, including restricted areas, then that means the guard is doing his job just fine.
Wearing shoes inside your Bacta tank.
But the Jet's shoes are a part of Shadow since they are key to him and his abilities, so I think I'll be giving out my award here.
Emotionally broken character is reflected in literally broken glass. As if the universe feeds on pain and wants this hedgehog to be sad.
But that's the point, since Shadow is still emotionally broken about Maria's death, so I think I'll give out my award again here.
The franchise has gone from the rings being a valuable commodity to them being a convenient, fast travel hack.
But that's been a thing that's happened in all three of these movies, Jer, so why is that a problem with specifically this one?
Yeah. Do you remember what happened last movie night?
What's the point of remembering anything if you're just gonna smash cut to it anyway?
To make viewers laugh and be an example of show don't tell?
This licking Sonic's quill thing that was quirky and kind of fun in the first movie now feels like a serious addiction that's being played for a cheap laugh.
It's almost like this is a running gag, you know, something we use when making these videos.
I'm your grandfather, Gerald Robotnik.
Thinking that the franchise needed to add more layers to the Dr. Robotnik storyline when it most definitely did not.
But since Gerald Robotnik is the main villain of Sonic Adventure 2, one of the games this film is based on, it makes sense for him to appear here. Plus, one bonus is getting more Jim Carrey out of this.
It's as if we're two characters in a movie being played by the same actor.
Further proof that Deadpool has ruined cinema.
Sending that funny fourth wall breaking line. That's worth a few extra.
Name the most elegant formula in mathematics. Euler's identity.
Mathematical beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and I prefer the Bourne identity.
Well, that's just your personal preference, so this will get my award as well.
A rare lung disease. And the longest word in the English dictionary. Numino-ultramicroscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
Making one of my writers want to hear me struggle to pronounce numinol truth macroscopic silicovanovelosis.
But that's not a sin of the movie, so my award will be given out again here.
Two Robotniks are way worse than one.
Agreed.
Sinning something you agree with.
Capable of delivering a precision strike anywhere on Earth.
This is essentially a super laser without a Death Star. It's all no ball.
But this was from the game, so it has to be here in the movie as well.
And you wonder why I have trust issues.
Wait, you put your faith in Tom, Maddie, and Tails pretty quick, and then you built trust with Knuckles after he stopped trying to kill you. It all seemed relatively healthy.
With Tom and Maddie, they've done nothing but help him. With Knuckles, Sonic was able to trust him after he realized that Robotnik tricked him. And with Tails, while he trusts him now after getting help from him, he didn't trust him immediately, as evidenced by this part from the second film.
I've got an idea. Do you trust me?
Of course not. I literally just met you.
I've spent 50 years reliving what they did to her. This is who I am inside.
Shadow chooses to play the pronoun game to explain his motivations, with 3 aliens he just met and have zero clue who her is.
Well, Sonic has an idea of who her is since he found the tent earlier and there was a picture of Shadow with Maria in it.
Somebody better call Google Maps.
People, or hedgehogs, who still use Google Maps. Waze is the way, Sonic. Waze is the goddamn way.
I still use Google Maps and it's not been a problem for me.
How would you choose to spend one perfect day with your new grandpal?
No one will be seated while the story gets derailed, so Jim Carrey can make the I'm My Own Grandpa music video no one asked for.
Now, what were you saying, Jeremy?
Sonic the Hedgehog 3 clearly attended the Russo Brothers Academy for making location titles.
But text like this was shown at the beginning of Sonic 2, which you even showed in your video on that movie.
I have taken my perch atop the giant
Damn, Knuckles, you need to chill. I'm kidding, he said clock, but they don't call it Big Ben for nothing.
What?
Do you want me to get ultra nasty? Nasty, nasty?
Whatever this is, works.
One thing you're forgetting is how much Rachel acted like a bridezilla in the previous movie after she learned that her wedding was fake. So the guard doesn't want to get on her bad side, hence why this works.
I designed these suits to create a field of laser-bending thermal distortion.
So did Robotnik just create suits for all possible life encounters? I would love to see the suit that is useful in situations where your raft is about to go over the waterfall while a cocaine bear is chasing you down, and your mother is sitting next to you on the raft nagging the out of you as if that's helping.
Arbitrary movie reference.
This whole dance sequence is a great example of why Jim Carrey's The Robotniks is both the best thing about this movie and a big part of why it's not very good.
Firstly, sending something you like. Secondly, sending this dance scene and saying that this movie was not good, especially since you said it did very well. And you'll get 50 cents for each.
Whenever he's on screen, there's never any shortage of entertainment, but it overwhelms the story and we miss out on getting more of Shadow, who is a very good and compelling villain in his own right. Basically a Bane.
But that doesn't overwhelm the story, and also, Shadow isn't a villain since while he is doing bad things, he's broken and not outright evil.
You know, there might be one other way out.
Even though Rockwell has a villainy vibe, Sonic should know now that Gerald was the one that broke out Shadow.
But Sonic already knew that, so if anything, Rockwell should have been the one to know that.
So Knuckles and his 1,000,000% of muscle can blast through the barrier? Why was that not the plan all along?
Because he was told to break glass in case of emergency, and since all of Team Sonic is in trouble now, it makes sense for him to break through.
We got what we came for.
Which makes me ask the question, why does Shadow still need the Robotniks? He's perfectly capable of taking care of himself, much better than either of them are. Why did he come back to help them?
Because they have the same plan, and also because Gerald needs Shadow to power up the Eclipse cannon.
Okay, after seeing this big-ass glass-bottom murder ship that was hidden under a body of water and controlled by MacGuffin circuit boards, I can confirm this is basically the same thing as Captain America the Winter Soldier, except it's in London. So, Captain Britain the gloomy rainy day soldier.
To quote Jay Exci, this movie, that movie.
Okay, Wade. All comes down to this.
Waiting up your movie 1 hour and 14 minutes in.
And there's a reason why Wade has less screen time in this movie, which is that Paramount learned that people felt like the Knuckles series had too much focus on him, hence why Wade appears less in this movie.
Excuse me, Grand Paso Doble. What is that thermonuclear gerbil doing?
Recreating the end of Superman the movie? I mean, I hope that's the case. It wouldn't be original, but it would at least be interesting, which the last hour and 18 minutes have not been.
But that's just how you feel about it, so this will be getting my award.
You hurt my family. This ends now.
They are talking in space. Also, just because they are aliens doesn't mean they can automatically just roam around in space with no gear on. Whatever planet they are from was clearly similar to Earth's atmosphere.
Aside from this movie being fictional, Sonic and Shadow and Knuckles have been depicted as being able to survive in space in this world, but not Tails.
You were right about one thing. This ends now.
Yeah, I checked the runtime, Shadow. You might not be a coward, but you are a fucking liar.
So, you're yet again wanting a movie to end, which supports my belief that you don't like watching movies further, and this will get my award.
They are breathing in space.
Refer to what I said 2 sins ago.
I'm right here.
Shadow points to where his lungs are, and Sonic is reminded of the conversation he had with Tom earlier. All I can think of is that they might as well have both had moms named Martha.
Arbitrary movie reference.
Was he holding on to Shadow's nipple?
Nah, he was holding onto his chest fur.
Dramatically timed astronomical dawns.
Pointing things out on the screen.
The light shines, even though the star is gone.
Dramatically timed astronomical callbacks.
Sending this heartwarming callback. That's worth a few extra.
Don't tell me you've got a catchphrase.
That's right, new Hedgehog. And everyone loves it.
Citation needed.
But it's a reference to the English theme for the anime Sonic X, which was met with a lot of praise. So,
For as many should have died but didn't instances in this movie, there's also quite a bit of murder for a kid's movie. At least for a kid's movie that wasn't released in the 1980s.
firstly, this movie is rated PG, and secondly, even though kids play the Sonic games, that doesn't automatically make this a kid's movie.
So this was your plan?
I know, right? It's almost as if the title character of this franchise is by far the most incompetent. I think Wade would have come up with a better plan.
Sonic was in a rush to stop the laser, and even if Wade came up with a better plan, which he likely wouldn't have, Sonic doesn't always think straight. So this is another instance of use in characterization.
This is Dr. Ivo Robotnik, dedicating my final live stream to one very special henchman, Agent Stone.
Robotnik not only is able to conveniently live stream on the side of a building, but also the exact building that Agent Stone is standing in front of. And I now conveniently hate the out of this movie.
Stone, you were more than a sycophant to me. You were a sickle friend.
Robotnik has shown Agent Stone absolutely nothing but disgust and has mostly ignored him for 3 movies. However, we're supposed to believe in this moment he now respects him, and I did not believe you, movie.
Even though a villain is occasionally a jerk to his henchmen, Robotnik did have some care for Agent Stone, and he's now realized that Stone was the only person on Earth who cared about him, so this isn't as unbelievable as you think it is.
Wait, how did Tails and Sonic enter Earth's atmosphere without disintegrating? How the f are any of these assholes still alive?
Because protagonists aren't allowed to die, and also because they're aliens.
All right, boys, try and keep up.
Nothing like ending your movie on a race between CGI characters where we have zero clue who even has the advantage.
But that's the fun of it, trying to figure out who's the best of the bunch.
So I guess they're setting up Metal Sonic as a big bad for Sonic 4, but that's a little confusing. Robotnik created Metal Sonic in the games, and he's dead, although, let's be honest, there's no way in f***ing hell he's actually dead. But he is presumably enough on the good side of the Force to not go all robotic army on Sonic. But hey, 3 years, I guess we'll have our answer to the question that most of us will forget was asked.
But since a lot of people love this movie, myself included, I think we'll also remember those questions by the time Sonic 4 comes out.
Thinking Amy Rose and Shadow's hand would distract me from this big f***ed up Bruce Almighty moon.
But the clip of Shadow doesn't show the moon, so what was the point of including it in this sin? And here's the end result, everybody. The sin total was 537, and the sentence will be run it. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a nice day.